Well, hello there and welcome to the European Quad-Cross Championship here in Loket for the second round of the EMX Championship. My name is Bradley Hicks and alongside me, of course, is Barry Nutley. And together we shall be leading you through this particular timed practice session to see who will get first gate pick for the first race of 3 here this weekend that will take place later on today. Well, here in Loket, in the northwest of Czech Republic, is where we find ourselves for the second round of the EMX Championship. And as mentioned, the first race will take place today at 25 to 5 this evening. And then tomorrow as well, at 11:30, we will have the second race. And race 3 will take place at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But that is then, and this is now. And out on circuit, we will find the likes of Christopher Taveren, Kevin Saar, Oliver Sansom and Miro Capuccio as well. Right now we're looking at the number 4 of Thomas Trojan, the Buffalo Racing team rider, making his way around this circuit. But Barry, I don't know if you watched any of the European Quad-Cross Championship racing from Markelo just 4 weeks ago, but Kevin Saar is riding like a man possessed this year. He said to me in Markelo in the paddock that his aim for this year is to win all of the races.
Well, he's more than capable. He's a league apart from the rest. I mean, Christopher being the possible other example, anyone who gets close to him. But the 2 Italians are not here either. You mentioned to me yesterday they're away in America.
They certainly are. Patrick Torini and Paolo Galizzi are the 2 men that you mentioned there, and they're away in America doing the AMA series, I believe. So taking the fight to the likes of Chad Wiener.
What do we know about the new young Czech guy, Brel?
The first thing I know is that I can't pronounce his second name right because I can't roll my R's. But Jan Blel, he's certainly one to watch in future. And I believe, you know, with the kind of promise and form that he is showing, that he needs a little bit more experience, but he could well take the fight to Kevin Saar in future years.
Kvyat does a good runner too, the 416 pole, and Kuzmichak, we've seen him out there as well. So good competition here. But as you say, Kevin Saar is a class act. It's only a matter of time, surely, before he too goes to America.
That is very true. I remember in 2019 for the Sidecar and Quad-Cross of Nations, which was held in Schwedt in North Germany, not too far away from the Polish border. But well, the Americans came over and pretty much dominated proceedings. They came over as the reigning nations champions, and they took the title again in that particular series. But last year they didn't come over and make an appearance, unfortunately. But the Americans certainly are ones to watch when it comes to quad-cross racing.
It struck me when I first looked at the track, and we've seen the Sidecarcross. We see 2 30-minute Sidecar sessions on this track already, and it's not cutting up, is it?
No.
It's very hard packed, and the jumps are level. The terrain, I think, will suit the quads admirably. You
mentioned the conditions and terrain here in Loket are in stark contrast to the ones that we experienced in Markelo, and well, that just pretty much proves your point there, because by the end of Sunday, the track in Markelo was very, very much a one-line thing, as you correctly mentioned. Well, there is number 50 of Martin Dopita. Local rider, of course, is Martin, as is quite a lot of the quad-cross riders here this weekend. Of course, we've mentioned Thomas Trojan. In fact, we've already seen him out on circuit. We've got David Sousa, Jan Vrel, and there is the number 311 of the Estonian Kevin Saar. Yet to make it out on circuit, it would seem, as Jakub Kosteletsky comes in and takes up the frame.
Do you remember we had him similarly parked up? Was it the end of last season when he had tyre issues or was changing tyres?
He may have a second bike there in the pits, because that is certainly Kevin Saar out on circuit and looking strong.
That's his number 2 bike.
It must well be. A 1 minute 55.828 from Miro Capuccio, laying down the gauntlet. But 20 minutes is the duration for these guys. I'll tell you what, Kevin Saar is looking fantastic already. Well, we spoke to him in the paddock yesterday Barry, and he comes across as a very, very intelligent, well-spoken young man. Is Kevin Saar, currently studying at university in the city of Tartu, not too far away from the Langay circuit, where we shall be on July the 2nd and 3rd.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I shall be there, and if you're not joining me in Langa, then I will have to be learning all about these quads, and I guess there's no time like the present.
That's what they say. Well, what I can tell you about Kevin Saar is that despite the fact that he speaks fluent Estonian and fluent English as well, he's just 22 years of age and already a 4 times European champion, looking to make it 5.
Yeah. There's that young Czech, Brel. He is in 3rd place, 2nd on my tiny screen, but now up into 3rd. Valentino Rox has pushed past him. David Souza, the other Czech, the young guy we saw riding for Honda. Have a look to see if he's still on Honda. I don't know whether he's still waving the Honda flag.
He's certainly listed as being on a Honda 450 there, but it would seem the majority have gone with the Yamaha. But we've got a Suzuki out there as well in the hands of Pavel Schmieder, the number 258. We've got a few CRQFs in the hands of the Dutchman of Rick Haverdil and also Valentino Rox. But as I say, Yamaha's certainly predominant.
Yeah.
While we sort out the various bits of paper that we've got here in our commentary position, we turn our attention back to the fastest lap of the race, which is now number 311, Kevin Saar. How many times have I said that in previous race meetings?
And it's fair to say he's fully fit, isn't he? Had that incident where Christopher over-jumped and landed on his back, and that could have been potentially very nasty.
I think it fulfilled that potential. He got two cracked vertebrae as a result of that, but still managed to take 7 wins out of 9 attempts. As we look at the number 77, who's looking very despondent indeed.
Václav Krenek. There he is. Mr. Krenek, a bit fed up, being sidelined. But of course, all these quads will go. This is time practice, which is tantamount to qualifying, because the next time we'll see them on track, they will be in their opening race. It's a 4-round championship for the EMX Quad Cross European Championship this year. And this is the 2nd time they've been with us. They are not in Lommel, but they are in Langa, in Estonia. And we will be with them there as we go.
Chris Barron has taken up the running in this time practice session with a 151.792. Looking a little further down the order, just on the cusp of the top 5, we will find the number 63 of Zdeněk Poláček, who he was in 5th place momentarily, but it would seem he's dropped a little bit further down the order as we watch Kevin Saar full gas around that long banked left-hander. But Zdeněk Poláček, the number 63 rider, there he is just inside the top 10 behind Valentino Rox. The last time we saw Zdeněk, he unfortunately caused a red flag back in Kramelin.
Oh yeah, that looked very nasty actually. It was a big one.
Right off the start gate, I'm not sure what happened. He must have got tangled up with one of the other quad-cross riders, but either way, he's back to full fitness, I believe. He's been to various national championship events supporting his team, 6-3 Design. As there is Jan Brel back in the pits.
See the complexity of the shocks there with the variable spring rating. There's a small spring which takes up the initial shock, and then of course you've got the main spring that does all the work. So modern suspension technology, whether it be road racing, whether it be motocross, is just through the roof in terms of technological advancement.
Well, certainly come a long way from the old twin shock things that you used to race back in the day there, Barry.
Well, even no shock things.
I bet it made life a little bit interesting for you.
Certainly did.
as well. Kevin Saar just came through the what will be the final section of the circuit before making their way back up towards where turn 1 will be off the starting gate. Through a yellow flag zone, it would have seemed. But I'll tell you what, that drop there into this fast left-hander, the pictures really do it no justice. We caught a quick glimpse of it yesterday when we was taking a look at the track on first impression, and my word, what a steep drop that is.
But it's level, you know, and we come back to the old story. If you get the thing level on takeoff, you stand a good chance of landing level. If you are all over the place when you leave the ground, you're certainly going to be even in a worse condition when you meet it again.
There's a lot of attention being focused towards the front end of Jan Burrell's Yamaha.
And he is a young lad, and came into the press centre, the media centre yesterday for a photograph session. All these riders were being photographed for their profile pictures for the website. And he is a smiley, curly-haired, looks like a naughty schoolboy, if I can put it that way. Yeah. Do you agree?
I agree. Still only 16 years of age, I believe, as well. Oh, Christopher Tavera, and that was a little bit loose.
Well, if he's still only 16 years of age, he could well be a naughty schoolboy. Still.
Yeah. It's not a bad way to live, though, is it? Oh,
not a bad way.
Got some exams at school. Oh, I can't. I'm racing in the European Championship this weekend.
Yeah, not bad at all. What is the main topic for your GCSE EMX quad?
I don't think he would have it any other way either.
No,
and I don't blame him.
It's incredible, you know, combination of the wind and the rain. When we came here this morning after the heavy thunderstorm last night, there was standing water. There's still a little bit, but in the main, this track has completely dried.
Absolutely. And all in perfect conditions for the racing as well, which of course, as I mentioned earlier, will take place later on today for these guys. And the World Sidecarcross riders will be having their 2 races tomorrow. But Christopher Tavera looked as though he was on a fast one, but let's have a look to see what the current status is in terms of classification. Is a 151.147 for Tavera and Kevin Saar, a 151.609, and that is head and shoulders above the rest of the pack, with Miro Romeo Capuccio coming in at third at the moment with a 154.156.
The third place rider with the Italian sounding name, the German, has improved immensely, hasn't he? He's come steadily along to a strong position. I don't know how he finished in Markelo, I can't remember, but if we look at the results, it will give us the answer.
Certainly will. So I'll have a quick look for that one, but yeah, Miro Capuccio is just 18 years of age, and I did speak to him in Markelo prior to the racing kicking off, and speaks good English as well. But yeah, say of course, let's just say his English is a lot better than my German.
Yeah, the nations of continental Europe, and certainly the main nations, Netherlands, less so France, but certainly Germany, Scandinavia without exception, all speak impeccable English. Puts us to shame, really. I have a fair bit of French and a smattering of Polish, a little bit of German, next to no Czech, which I need to rectify, no doubt about that. As I'm working with a Czech crew, I need to know what they're saying about me.
I'm sure it's nothing bad.
I hope you're right.
Okay, then here we go. Then the overall classification, just to remind ourselves of what happened 4 weeks ago. Kevin Saar comes into this weekend with 75 points out of a possible 75. Joe Masson on 64. Rick Haverdale on the CRQF with 54 points. Miro Romeo Capuccio, 27 points in 9th place overall. However, he did have a no points scored in the second race. He scored 15 in the first race and 12 in the third, which is equal to 6th, of course, and 12 points for 7th, 9th.
That's Capuccio there, the number 19. Doing a great job. He's really on a mission now. He's got the hang of it, that's for sure. It will suit these quads. You can see the way they're able to slide the bends, and the jumps are nice and level. They get good takeoff, they get good air time. Downhills as well, approaches are level. Again, a flat corner, a nice level jump. Over those little whoops, that's a double. Nicely done, nicely taken.
Well, we're back in the pits and looking at the number 41 machine still. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys all looking towards the front end of that Yamaha for young Jan Brel. Back to Miro Capuccio, the young German, as mentioned, 18 years of age. Well, he's got the pace to be fighting for the top 5, potentially even the top 3. And just as we say that, he puts himself up into that 3rd place. Just 3 seconds adrift from that time set by Taveruan. Kevin Saar, less than half a second adrift from the 23-year-old Norwegian. Roman Kviadsta, well, you mentioned him before we got things kicked off here, that he is one to watch this weekend, the Polish rider. Ahead of Haverdil, 3rd in the championship, as we look at him on screen there, number 108 of Rick Haverdil, the Dutchman, on the CRQF. Yuri Kasper rounds out the top 10 at present on the number 96, just ahead of Valentino Rox. Valentino Rox was up into 4th place earlier on in this session, but has dropped down just outside of the top 10 ahead of Oliver Sansom and Zdeněk Polacek, who is in 13th place at the moment. And we are looking at him right now on your screen. As mentioned, had a quite nasty crash in Tramelin for their final race of 3 that particular weekend. But it's all thumbs up now from Zdeněk. Jan Brel looking as though he's ready to take to the track once more. I wonder what the issue was there with the front suspension slash shock situation.
He's quite tall as well for a youngster, so you can see his long legs there sort of tucked up. Good bend at the knees with his these things that don't just have footrest, they have basically a foot board, so they have a rail around the outside with webbing underneath the footrest. That is to stop the rider putting his foot through and inevitably breaking his ankle or leg. Yellow flag out with one stop there. There's Kviadsta. So he is parked in the parc fermé. Clock counting down a little over 6 minutes now. I've learned that we need to refresh my live timing in order for us to give you the absolute update, and with it goes the number of laps covered. 8 laps done. Chris Taveruan, they're still on 51, 1.147, which is half a second quicker than Kevin Saar. Capuccio there in 3rd, Kviadsta 4th, Haverdil, Brel, Fiedek and Granley make out the top 8, and then it's David Souza with Yuri Kasper, Valentino Rox, Oliver Sansom, Zdeněk Polacek, Jakub Kostelecki, Viktor Kuzmierczak and Adam Tuchek, namesake of our director on the television, who's recently embarked on a business with 2 tipper lorries and has now earned the new name Daniel 2 Trucks.
I like that one, that's great. Well, further down the order, just outside the top 20, we find the number 77 of Klenek, then it's Schmieder, Kimmerling, Vasilidas in 24. There is Christopher Taveruan, the number 58 rider. As we say, just 23 years of age. It's a very young field is the EMX Quadcross Championship there, with the youngest, of course, Jan Brel in 6th place, ahead of the number 94 of Folik. And then Joachim Granley ahead of David Souza, who, as you mentioned earlier, on the Honda still. So good stuff there for David Sousa. Also on a Honda as well is Thomas Jamrosi, the number 81, and Ricardo Folik, the number 94. Joachim Granley also on a Honda, the Norwegian rider. He is currently in 8th place. Well, David Sousa and Yuri Kasper still there in 9th and 10th. If we take a look at the number 94 of Ricardo Folik, the Dutch rider. And out of picture ever so slightly now for those riders. But Ricardo Folik 6th in the championship as they come into this weekend. Back to Miro Capuccio, the number 19, who, as we mentioned, is 9th in the championship on 27 points. Likewise is Roman Gviazda in 10th place, with 12 and 15 points being scored in the first 2 motos and no points being scored in the third. Christopher in 4th in the championship into this weekend. Of course, not having a very good run in the first race, but coming back strong on the Sunday back in Markelo with a 2nd and a 3rd place finish. Likewise for Joe Masson, a 2nd and a 3rd on the Sunday, and taking a 2nd place on the Saturday. Still there in the pits is the number 77 of Vaclav Klenek. I don't think he's managed to complete a lap in this session, Barry, for the number 77 rider, which is very, very unfortunate indeed.
Well, at least all these quads will get to go. I mean, if he's out there and he's registered and he's signed on, then he's going to start. You know, if he's done a lap, that'll be good enough. And he's down the bottom of the pile, but I will just check and see where he is.
21st.
Yeah, so that's all right.
He's been out there and done 2 laps and decided to call it a day, it would seem. He is ahead of Pavel Schmieder, Mikhail Kimmerling, Petr Vasilidas, and Mikhail Farkashovsky.
That's very good. Farkashovsky.
Number 4 making their way out back onto the circuit. That is Thomas Trojan, Czech rider on his Yamaha, as we mentioned, Buffler Racing Team. For Thomas, there is young Jan Brel, number 41 on his back, number 16 in age. Making his way around the first part of this Loket circuit, around the right-hander before the steep drop down into that fast left-hander. Thumbs up there from Kevin Saar, which is good.
And still that 4/10 deficit, which okay, it's only qualifying, but this is pretty much looking like a 2-horse race already, isn't it?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. 151.1 for Christopher and a 151.6 for Kevin. Miro Capuccio, the best of the rest, with a 154.156. So 3 seconds is the deficit between Miro Capuccio and the 2 men in front.
And that's where those chasing bunch, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, that is where the battle's going to be. I think if the top 2 get away, which we expect them to do, but like I say, this is racing and anything can happen, there's certainly going to be a good scrap further down the field. There's your favourite man, new name for me, but he's obviously got what it takes. 5th place.
Yeah, Rick Haverdale on the CRQF machine, number 108, coming into this weekend, 3rd in the championship. A 3rd place, a 4th place, and a 5th place in turn back in Markelo. Consistency seems to be right at the forefront of specialities for Rick Haverdale. And, well, the clock has struck 0 now. So this will be the final lap for Jan Borrell. Well, at the present moment, it would seem it's still Christopher Tverin with a 1 minute 50.502 now, so he can go even quicker than the 151.147 that he set on lap number 9. But can Kevin Saar respond? There is Jan Brel, a relation, I guess, of Jan Brel there, just making his way out of picture. Oliver Sansom making his way to look at the timing screen. But, well, if we do get a picture of young Jan there with his helmet off, you'll see that he has got thick locks of curly blonde hair, similar to Prince Charming.
Prince Harry.
Zdeněk Poláček makes his way back into the pits. A good effort there on his return to the European Championship. Well, here we will have then the 3rd place, 2nd place and 1st place finishes in the European Championship.
Well, 3rd fastest, that young man Cappuccio then, the German. He was looking polished, looking fast, and he's done well so far this year.
Championship leader Kevin Saar, 2nd place in this qualifying session. Can he take the fight to the fastest man? We'll have to wait and see.
Christopher from Norway. Always the nemesis, I think. Kevin Saar has got a thorn in his side, that's the man.
Fastest lap then, a 1 minute 50.502 for Christopher Tverin, ahead of Kevin Saar by 1.1 seconds. Then it's Miro Romeo Cappuccio with 3.6 seconds deficit to the fastest man. Viadster, Haverdil, Rox, Brel, Folik, Granley, and David Sousa rounds out your top 10. Well, as you mentioned there, Barry, it really does look as though it's shaping up to be a 2-horse race between Christopher Tverin and Kevin Saar. But can the likes of Miro Cappuccio, Roman Viadster, or young Jan Brel, can they take the fight to them? We'll have to wait and see later on this afternoon. Don't go anywhere.